pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please take your seats. All right.
Yeah, you were.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to open the Village Board's business meeting scheduled for December 16th of 2024. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, here's mine. Public comment up here? No.
Oh, I was going to adopt them. You do that first.
Yeah, we need to. Okay, there's two opportunities at our board meetings for those that haven't been here before for public comment. You don't have to speak specifically to agenda items at either one of them. There's a period now, and then there's a period at the end of the meeting after the agenda is all completed. We ask that you kind of stay to 3 minutes as best as possible. I'll let you go a little longer if you're advancing the ball and not making any ad hominems or anything like that. But we just ask you step up to the microphone, state your name and your address, and then the floor is yours. Would anybody like to speak from the public? You will have a... Mr. Land, come on up, sir.
Doug Land, 60 Deer Hill Road. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all. Got a few things, but I'll try to move it quick. First of all, I want to thank Dave and Public Works. They've started to fill in the big ditches on the side. And like today was a perfect example. When there was snow, you can't see the fall-offs, and it's great. But on that, I hope we're still looking at a spring, summer final engineering of and repaving of the Deer Hill Road. Is that still on?
That is something, Dave, that we are looking at doing, but Doug, it's also going to be part of a bigger engineering piece because the board has agreed that we are going to go forward with having our engineers take a look at stormwater. Obviously, this all ties in with that, and the board is committed to moving forward with an evaluation by our engineers. And as you had reminded me before when we drove it and walked it, we certainly don't want to slap asphalt on top of things and make it worse. So yes, we are working to do that.
If you could just keep the few of us up on Deer Hill, kind
Absolutely.
of where the schedule is, that would be great. But it really is much better, even getting the sides fixed, so thank you.
Good.
I thought, and I just didn't double check, is Spectrum still on the agenda? I thought it was.
It is. And we're going to speak to that.
My same comment that I made about Verizon, if you go, just one example, on the boulevard between Deer Hill and Maple, I can touch the Spectrum wires. Can we try to make sure that the Spectrum and Verizon, there's like a minimum height that they have to maintain them? I actually talked to the Spectrum guy, and he says, I can't do anything unless I get a work ticket from the home office.
So Doug, two things. One is, and Spectrum reminded me of this because I've dealt with them, and that is, on your bill, there's a number you call there. We already started off. I gave them about 15 locations just on Hudson Street, and they verified at the last meeting, they verified that those lines were not theirs, but they verified that they were Verizon. We still haven't dealt with Verizon. That's the next step. Verizon, that's another story.
It never ends.
I know, I'm just...
So what I'm saying is this, is that if you have it, send it in, because we've worked it out with Spectrum where, you know what, we'll give them a list of places to look at, and Mr., don't recall his name right now. Camarada. He helped us out the first one. He said, if you give us another list, you know, we'll go out and take a look at it. The best part about it is, if it's not theirs, they've identified whose it is. That way we know we can get it fixed.
Great. Just again, to the extent when you're renewing the license that they have to get rid of unused wires, make sure that everything's properly. Anyway, fine. Just those were the easy ones. Just asking for any update. Last night was crazy on Deer Hill. I mean, it was out of control. And I know I'm not going to call Chief Dixon.
I know.
I won't do that. Fire truck is still there. Have they applied?
69 Deer Hill Road, Manny.
Oh, yeah, 69 Deer Hill Road. Your favorite place, right, man? Have they applied for a permit to build the structure that they're legally required to have that 60-foot truck on the property?
Any word on that, Manny?
No, no building permit has been issued.
So
But
so
he
what do
did
we
tell
do?
you that he was, well, I'll tell you what we're doing, and I spoke to another one of the neighbors, I think it was this morning, and same thing, she doesn't want to bother the police, she doesn't want to bother our building department, but it's an issue related to unleashed dogs, and a lot of them, 8 of them, and the noise abatement, the fact that we're dealing with dogs that are barking at all hours of the night. We have a scheduled court date. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it any sooner, but for January 15th. Manny, can you walk us through really quickly what happens at that meeting, what you do, what the, since we're the complainant essentially, the village, what happens then to the defendant and how this proceeds?
Normally, maybe that can come from Joe, but from what we've done in the past, we present our complaint to the judge, explain all the code that are being violated, how many times I've been to the property, how I'm certifying to the judge that these were actual violations, and that I personally observed them. Then the judge make a determination depending on what council may decide to ask, maybe for a fine. Definitely corrective action is priority. And the judge usually gives them time to comply. Then they'll come back, and then I'll let them know whether they're in compliance or not.
What about the fire truck? I hate to say it, but we've told you it's been over a year that we've identified
Manny,
it.
you had spoken to him about that, first about moving it, and then second of all, because of the length of the fire truck, 60 feet, or extended beyond the, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, is it 45 foot that was
25.
not considered 25 foot, anything longer than that is considered a commercial vehicle, it has to be garaged?
I'm working with our council also. I mean, he has to register for personal use. As of right now, at the last time that I saw it, maybe a few months ago, I'm not sure if that's still the case, but last time I saw the truck itself, it was registered for personal use.
So does that make a distinction if it's registered for personal use? I thought in regards to the code, it's not necessarily because it's registered for personal use rather than commercial use. It still has to be garaged?
We're working.
Or some sort of shelter over it.
He agreed to do that last year, and till now, there's no garage for the.
But this is it. He agrees, and then again, I maybe because I've been to planning board meetings, as some of you know, I've been to zoning board meetings. You hold people like they just want to have their swimming pool fence 5 foot over the agreed setback. They go through planning board. They go here. He's ignoring everything, and I just at some point I don't know how to resolve this, but it seems like it just keeps going.
Yeah, we have, and I'll let you go, we have tried the carrot, and the carrot has been somewhat successful in some things by having the building inspector go up there, and he has a relationship of working with this homeowner, and then now we're moving into the stick, which is taking him to court in this matter on January 15th. We can't move it up. Now, Manny, on that matter, is it the dogs and the noise issue? Can it also be related to how long to Mr. Land's point, how long do we allow him to have that, even if it's registered for personal use, if it meets the height and weight and length of a commercial vehicle, how does that work? And is this something that we should continue to allow him to have on the front portion of his property?
Everything that is considered to be a violation on the property will be in front of the judge. As of right now, I have given him plenty of notice. As you mentioned yourself, first we try by talking to the property owner and giving them time and working back and forth. We were far and beyond that, so the only resource I have at this point is to take him to court. I have to go through the process and see what happens there.
Cornwall Town Court?
Yes.
And
So Manny, pardon me, a violation has been issued with respect to the shelter for the fire truck?
not for the, the report just came back today. I don't recall if the fire truck was included in the written report that we gave him. We've been dealing verbal for a while, trying to get him to comply, as I do with every other community member. Then I put a report in writing, but I believe it was only for the dog at that point. So, but we are going to put everything in writing at this point so we can get it on court on January 15th.
But you've got to initiate it by actually giving them the violation itself.
In writing, yes.
Okay, so obviously that would be our next.
And hadn't he at some point in time told you that he was going to either build something to house the fire truck or move the fire truck at least to a less obtrusive portion of the property than in the front? Wasn't he working with you on that?
He moved it for a little while, so I guess
then
now.
moved it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what, so one other comment, and then I'll let you guys go. I'm way over my 3 minutes. I think you told me when we met that one of the reasons he has the fire truck there is because he needs it to work on the roof.
That's what he told me personally.
Okay, I just want this board to know, and Manny, particularly for you, I actually know two people that looked to purchase that property when it was for sale. The reason they didn't purchase it was because that's a friable asbestos roof, and they got quotes of between $500,000 and $700,000 to replace the roof. So as a neighbor, I'm very concerned that he's going to be up there kind of working on his roof without the proper hazardous waste disposal. And so just something to, I didn't realize that till I was talking actually at a party with some friends who I knew had looked at it. And I kind of said, it's too bad you didn't buy it. He goes, it's going to cost $750,000 just to replace the roof. That's why it didn't sell, it turns out. So I just want to make sure that you're aware that that is, clearly the roof was considered, they would only allow, if done properly, a registered hazardous waste disposal company to actually work on the roof. So just something to think of.
Yeah, Manny, is that something maybe when you talk to him next, you could just advise him, like if you are working on that up there, I mean, can you tell that it's an asbestos roof from the top? Asbestos is insulation, I'm guessing it's gonna be right underneath
No,
the shingles?
it's the type of shingles, and they're called friable asbestos. It's a particular type of shingles they used in the 40s and 50s.
All right.
And again, I think the idea is they're fine if you don't touch them.
Yeah.
The minute you touch them, it creates the issue. Anyway, I just thought I'd put that, anyway, thank you all. Have a very happy holiday. Appreciate your
Doug,
indulgence.
again, I know I've said this to you a million times before, it must come out as empty and hollow when I say these are the kind of things that we're forsworn to try to figure out a solution to, and I know this has been a long and laborious process, and I appreciate all of you up there, because you've been beyond patient, because this has been going on now for over a year, so I appreciate it, and we'll stay on it. All
And
right.
I have a feeling it's going to go past the end of your term, Mayor, which I know you're really sad about, but I thank you for the work you did.
You got it. All right, thanks, Doug. All right, anybody else, public comment? There'll be another opportunity at the end of the meeting if, yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Missy Marianne. I reside at 15 River Avenue. I was nicely given this diagram of our street. You've been down there many, many times. You see the hazard behind my driveway and Mr. Manasseh's. I understand that he called because of an argument my neighbor and I got in when somebody parked there. I've spoken to all the neighbors. We never wanted no parking at the bottom of the street. It hurts the restaurants, it hurts our neighbors. If that can just be removed and
You're talking about from Spruce onto Churchill? When you say bottom of the street, you're talking about the
Yeah.
end of Spruce?
Yeah,
As it runs into Churchill?
Correct. We only wanted the two driveways to have no parking so that we can get in and out of our driveways.
Yep.
Other than that, we wanted parking. It's good for the restaurants, it's good for business,
Yeah.
it's good for the ball drop, it's just good for the community. Mr. Matthew here, sorry, I'm not thinking of your name right now. I know he has concerns where the parking sign is placed on his property. What if instead of making that side, keep that no parking and put no parking on the right side to the curb like most places have?
So, I don't know if it's affected by the fact that your road is one way, so like.
Not,
you're-
it's section 12.3 in the parking laws. I actually have it on my phone. It can be the left or the right side of the street.
So because that used to be a two-way street, correct, years ago?
Was Frank Lentz, who has since passed,
Right,
was concerned that they couldn't get a fire truck up and down.
got it.
The road is still a cluster at times with
And it's very
restaurant
tight.
deliveries and.
Yeah.
it is
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all about Churchill, right?
Yep.
Yes.
I know it's a little out of order, but do you want to open the public hearing on Churchill? All of her comments will be included in the public hearing, and then go back to?
Wonderful idea.
Okay.
So can I get a
And then-
motion to open up the public hearing related to, and let me get the right verbiage, the local law to amend Chapter 155-48 in order to rescind the no parking areas currently on the west side of Churchill. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And if I can suggest, perhaps Dave had sent to me earlier this morning his
Can I open
proposal.
it first? Because I got.
Oh, I
okay.
thought you'd- I'm
All
sorry.
in favor?
Motion, second, and aye.
Yeah, Dave seconded it, so, yes. Okay, go ahead.
So Mr. Halverson had sent this morning a draft language that he believes from the last meeting would resolve the collective concerns, I'll call them. Dave, maybe you just want to explain? Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, the way I laid it out is the same way the other laws in there are laid out. The no parking would start at, what was the, I don't have it in front of me,
Is it-
125 feet?
It says, this is the west side from Idlewild Avenue, 125 feet to
Through-
205 feet.
Right, that would be no parking.
So
And
west,
the rest of it would be parking with the exception of the 10 or 12 feet at the end for the fire truck to be able to turn.
Is
There'd be
is
no
that by
parking.
code that from the stop sign at the end of Churchill, there is a space
There's,
there?
there's
that's
no
parking?
exact number that you have to, but it's safety for the size of the equipment that Storm King or
Got it.
Cornwall Hudson Fire
Now,
Department
did
has.
people in the past park down there on that end?
They park there all the time. I
Yeah,
just,
see, that's.
I just don't call and annoy the cops
Yeah,
every
no,
single
because
time
that's the
somebody's
dangerous
there.
part about the trucks not being able to get in.
Right.
You're not supposed to park that close to the intersection.
Yeah.
I
So,
only have issues behind my house. Other than that, I don't really care where they park.
Yeah, you just need to be able to get your vehicle out.
I do, like we
But this
had
solves
friends
this, right?
take him to the Army Navy game, and he couldn't get out. He actually had to drive up the one way, the wrong way with us watching traffic.
Dave, can you say it again? It's 100, repeat what you just said.
it's 125 feet, right?
yes, from Idlewild, 125 feet.
The no parking starts at 125 feet.
Right, and from
Which is
125
Garrison's
to-
driveway.
To 205 feet.
Which is right now where that sign is on the.
It's gonna
gas-
be just a little, the sign will be moved a little bit,
Which way?
Which way?
up towards Idlewild, just a little bit, not much.
I'm
So-
gonna have to take, I'm not gonna go along with that until I see exactly how far that's gonna.
It's in the village right away, sir.
Okay, but that's my issue with this.
It's in the
okay?
village right of
I don't
way.
want that sign up when I look out my bay window, looking at that sign, and I've been adamant about that for a long time.
So you want the sign by your driveway to stay?
I like that to stay, and we talked last month about this, we're gonna take that no parking sign that's down there, okay, and move it up a little.
To
bit
Dominic's
here.
driveway?
Well, to give them 3 spots to park in.
And I did, and I just let you know, I did that night, and he can verify this, I actually did the walk, I measured it, and we can get at least 3 cars parked in that area.
That's all we're asking for, just to, Mr. Manassi can get 3 cars to park there. Missy's good, we're good, Dominic's
And that doesn't
good.
block anybody's driveway from coming
That
out
would
across the
not
other
block
side of
the
street,
driveways.
obviously.
Yeah.
However, if that parking is open to the public, that would not always give Mr. Manassi 3 spots.
Which I'm fine.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, we can't,
I just wanna cover everybody,
I
cause this
got
is our second time here.
It's the thing about just having one.
So
driveway.
is the text correct? Are the measurements, I understand the sign issue. Are the measurements correct?
His measurement is, Dave, your measurement is to the no parking sign that's in front of the Garrison House right now.
Right, but
105 to 20, well, your proposed movement of the
the
sign.
proposed, the existing is about 200 and, I think it was 220 feet. So I moved it about 10 or 15 feet, I don't remember, it was 10 or 15 feet. It's gonna be almost even with the telephone pole at Missy's driveway.
Okay, so you're talking not about this sign by Mr. Garrison's driveway.
No,
You're
the
talking
sign
about
by
the sign
Garrison's
down
driveway
here
is gonna stay the
is
same,
gonna
it's the
come
one
up
down by the bushes.
To Mr. Manassi's driveway.
Yes, it'll come up just a
Is
little
that
bit.
okay with you, Matt?
No, that's not okay with me.
That's not okay with
All we're
Matt.
asking is that the sign that is further down.
It's already there.
Oh, that's
So-
all
so-
we're
so-
So he's talking about the sign down here. So there's a sign down here, almost at the edge of the corner. He wants that one to be either removed, yeah, pretty much removed, because the other sign is approximately right here. Matt's bay window is right about here. and he doesn't want a sign in front of his window. So if you put a sign right here where these bushes are, actually, Matt, I think it would be in front of your lilacs if
Those
this
lilacs
drawing
are-
that was provided
Those lilacs
was.
are coming out, they're dead. They're
Okay,
coming
so I
out.
think this is
Isn't
where.
that
they're
the sign that needs to be there because it's the one that shows 25 feet to the end?
Yeah.
Right,
Am I
so
right?
this is where they would like to put the sign. That's
Yeah.
not okay with you.
No, that's not,
That's-
it's being moved back up towards my driveway. And I like the sign right where it is, and we're only asking for the other sign, a little further down.
But
to
that
be
doesn't
moved
follow
back
the
up.
code of his 25 feet. So in
It's gonna
alternative,
get more than 25 feet.
in alternative, can we just remove the no parking from Mr. Manasseh's driveway down? They can all park right to curb within the 12 inches. The fire truck could still get to you. You got the couple of no parking up here. That's obviously the restaurant. There's some parking right before Matt's. Then because of these driveways, the fire truck could come down and then come back over to this side. And then he would get all the parking he needed. Matt would not have a sign in front of his window. I could get out of my driveway.
But there is no parking on the side where your
There's-
driveway
right.
is. There's only parking available on the
Right.
side where the Garrison's driveway
Right, so can we
opens out.
just open the parking up
On
from Mr. Manasseh's driveway down on the right side?
Then we're back to the same thing that was the reason why they did this in the first place, was now you can have cars on both sides of the street.
No, cause we'll leave all these signs in place. We'll have no cars down here on this side of the street. We'll have them on this side of the street.
I thought they
It sh-
wanted the
It should not
parking.
pose any interference with any said fire truck, because the cars here stop shy of Matt's driveway, and then they have three pretty nice sized driveways. A fire truck could still get through. It would open more parking up to the restaurants, to the community, to the ball drops. Mr. Manasseh could park in front of his house. Mr. Garrison can look out his window and I can get out of my driveway, and you just made every neighbor on Spruce Street happy.
Let me just ask a question. I think I got
Sure.
it here. The sign that's in front of Mr. Garrison's house right now points down towards Spruce. Does it say no parking?
Yeah, it's no parking sign.
Yes,
All the way to the corner.
there's two signs there.
That sign and the other sign on the other side of Mr. Garrison's property stay there. That's step one.
Let all of them stay there.
That stays there. Is that what you're saying? I just
Yeah,
wanna get this clear.
that is what I'm saying.
Okay. On your side of the street.
On the right side of the street.
Right side of the street, from your house, where there is a no parking sign now,
Yes, there's,
that gets removed,
yep, all the way down.
all the way down.
And those are Mr. Manasseh's house, and then the two backyards to two neighbors. And I don't think that they would mind either if their visitors could park.
And that leaves no portion of Churchill Street where you could have cars parked on both sides
No.
across from each other.
You would have cars parked at the top.
Yep,
You would have
And
all
just
these
on the side of
driveways
Mr.
that would
Manasseh.
keep the
right?
roadway free, and then they would
down at
park
the end.
Yes, Mr. Manasseh's side.
on Mr. Manasseh's side, right side to curb.
Dave, I mean, you know that street well. I mean, can that be done?
I told you guys, you guys do what you wanna do. I gave you what will work, what's legal, and is gonna be safe for emergency vehicles. And we also have to take into consideration snow. Now, there's gonna be snow banks on both sides of the road.
Yep.
Okay, a sign
Right,
right here,
but
so what?
you're not allowed to park during
But
snowstorms.
if you've got
anyway.
cars parked on
So
both
there's a
sides of
sign
the
over
road,
here.
at some point, they meet
During a
up.
snowstorm, though, they're not allowed
At some point,
to
they
be on the
meet up.
road.
Here, it's like right
And it's
around
gonna
here.
Right?
stay.
This
They
stays.
still would, no, because we would have cars up here
And cars
here.
down there, and then right in the
But
middle,
they plow during a snowstorm.
right in the middle is where where, when the snow's
Mr.
piled up, you're gonna have the
Massey
cars,
usually taking his cars
you're
out,
not
you
gonna
guys
get an
follow.
ambulance through there.
Hey, Dave. and
That's
maybe-
my-
And maybe we should have done this from the beginning, because I've met with each one of you, with the exception of the variance, but I'm happy to do it.
No, I was here.
Yes, you were.
I'm the one that started this in the
Yes,
first
yes.
place.
But haven't
Yes, I
done
am.
it with all of you there, so that we're on the street. Can we meet together, representatives from each of the three households that are here tonight? Can we meet, me and Dave, with you there to walk this and talk this? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna err on the side of what he says on the public safety end of it. And then I'm gonna try to make any accommodation we can within those rules, okay? But I need him to be able to tell me, this will not work. Here's the width of my snowplow, here's the width of my garbage truck, it can't be done this way. And looking at it on these schematics, but I'd rather be on the ground. Can we do that? Can we set a date for, and I know we're getting close to the holidays, but I'm willing to do it during the week or whenever you guys are available. Sometime between 8:30 and 3:30, when the highway department is open, so that we can come up and take a look at it. and
I
measure.
believe you guys both work, correct? So there's,
I'm okay with 8:30. We do it early, it's fine.
I'm not okay with 8:30.
Yeah, I don't get home from work till late, I'm not even up at 8:30.
We don't even get up till noon.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get up a little early, but 8:30 is the middle of my night.
Can you guys give me a time, and then I'll make sure that he and I are there, and we'll make it work?
We all have to work, so we have to make some kind of public.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it, so when we all have to.
As long as my driveway's not blocked, I will take whatever Mr. Halverson says is,
I got it, but I'd love to have you there so that when we do this, we're not back here again a couple months from now going, it's different or whatever. We make sure that you guys are all good with it. I just have to go by, like I said, what he says in regards to the safety concerns. Once that's mitigated, I'm happy to give you guys, your guys are the ones that have to deal with that. I'm happy to make it so it works
Okay.
for you, all right?
now would
So-
you at all be willing to go even a little bit to the side of your window with that parking sign? So that you're not looking straight out at it?
But this is why being there and walking,
Okay.
how about this, can you email Doris just an available date that you guys, or times that you guys would be available, and give us one and to
I'll
pick?
coordinate a meeting between everyone.
Okay,
Is that okay?
I don't have
Let's
your
do
email.
that works for me.
All right, that sound
I
good?
have your email, Miss Berry.
You don't have mine?
I don't think I do. Maybe if you want to write it down.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so that's where we're gonna.
So we're going to, so here's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a motion to keep the public hearing open, we will not close it tonight.
Okay.
Got a second? All in favor? Aye. All right, public hearing remains open, you won't wake up tomorrow with something different on your street, okay? You have my commitment, all right? We'll get something scheduled, and then Dave and I will come out and see you, okay? Thanks for your patience on this, guys, I know it's a pain, all right?
Thank you.
You got it. All right, thanks, Tommy. Okay, all right, thanks, you got that. All right, let me go ahead and backtrack then, so we gotta crunch through this. All right, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 18th, 2024 Village Board meeting, which I believe all 5 of us were in attendance at. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Misperian. Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay. All right. Board department reports. Treasurer's report for November. Monthly water report. The village, 4,000. These are revenues, correct?
Yeah.
Village revenues, $447,243.14. For the town, $357,659.53. For a total of $804,902.67. And warrant number 1, including all prepaids, is in the amount of $320,037.33. Monthly revenue and expenditure reports by fund. General fund revenue, $4,383,887.42, with expenditures of $4,231,166.80. Water fund revenues of $3,355,561.19, with expenditures of $2,354,050.76. Sewer fund revenues of $405,440.88, with expenditures of $291,352.64. Total receipts, $8,241,534.27, or 93.9605% in anticipated revenues, with $6,950,667.70, or 79.2435% in anticipated expenditures through November. The balance collected for sewer capital is $592,326.65 through this November, and the village tax collection period ended on October 31st. Unpaid taxes totaling $66,035.85 have been turned over to the Orange County Commission of Finance for further collection. Notes: continued budget training going on between our village treasurer, Megan Gishwin, and Jean Mahoney, the retired village clerk/treasurer. And night class interest in year-to-date, what did we put into that? $800,000? Was that what we invested? Night class interest year-to-date as of November 6th of 2024, $26,618.45. Building department report. Trustee Carnwright.
Okay, report for November 2024. Building permits issued 9, certificate of compliance occupancy issued 9, on-site inspections 13, Violations, 3. Stop work orders, 0. Municipal searches, 0. Solar panels, 0. Fire inspections, 4. Manny Carmona, Code Enforcement Officer.
Senor, anything to add or
No,
buttress
sir.
his report?
No additional information.
Any questions from the trustees for the code enforcement officer? Seeing none, we will move on to the fire department. Trustee Paleota.
November 2024 Department Report. Culinary mishaps, 3. Drills, 1. EMS calls, 2. False alarms, 3. Good intent, 1. Illegal burns, 2. Meetings, 1. Mutual aid to other departments, 6. Motor vehicle accidents, 1. Public service relations, 1. Structure fires, 1. Work detail, 2. Total volunteer hours still pending. Total events, 24. The mutual aid calls included 2 calls to the Greenwood Lake Wildland Fire, a regional standby in Monroe for the Greenwood Lake Fire, a boat call on the Hudson River, a car accident in Cornwall, and a structure fire in Newburgh. Chief Quinn, Assistant Chief Trainer, Captain Trainer, and FF Eugene Conley inspected a tower ladder in Duncannon, Pennsylvania, with a refurbished aerial scope boom mounted on a new Seagrave chassis. We also inspected an out-of-service aerial scope that is available for remounting. We were impressed with both the available boom and the end product. We will present a proposal to the fire commissioners and the village board soon. We anticipate a purchase price of $1.75 million, including $100,000 for the refurbished boom. The used boom vendor is requesting a $50,000 down payment. After discussions with the village attorney, we will retain an adjuster to perform an assessment to repair engine 412 so that we have our own estimate with which to approach the insurance company.
Is that it?
That's it.
Chief, anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Culinary mishaps is how we're referring to kitchen fires now?
That's me.
Culinary mishaps.
What would you like me to call it?
Kitchen fire. Kitchen fire. Culinary
I'm gonna go out on a limb, Rick.
Why, I wasn't even-
All right, I like that. I like it. I like it. What's the
And then a kitchen fire is a structure fire, so.
That's true. All right,
But everyone
I
knows
like
what a
it.
kitchen fire is. Right?
I thought.
Everyone's experienced a little bit of a kitchen fire.
Do we know?
Not a kitchen fire.
I'm not going to argue with the fire. I'm not going to argue with the fire guys.
Burning the popcorn.
Is the Sterling Forest, Greenwood Lake fires, obviously with the water we've gotten and it's gotten cooler and everything, are all those completely out and taken care of? There's nothing still, no ground still on,
That I don't know. I don't know if there's anything still burning underground. I don't know if the rangers are still out there, but they're not calling the volunteers out anymore.
Got it, okay. And thank you all, the department, and I know you had a lot of mutual aid and other departments respond, but the Stableway fire where our folks responded to that, which is in the village of Cornwall and Hudson, and did a great job. We had 4 firefighters, I think, 3 of them, one of them went to the hospital, 3 or 4 were treated on scene, Chief, is that right?
I believe 4 were treated on scene. 1 went to the hospital with a foreign body in the eye, got washed out quickly, and she's back in service.
Excellent, okay. And Chief, if possible, on Friday, if you're around, if you can just get on my calendar so you and I can just go over fire department budget. Okay. Go ahead, Bill.
Just the status of the burn ban that was in effect during those very dry
question.
weeks and months.
All the burn bans, I believe, expired on November 30th.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and that, okay. All right, next, police department, I have trustee card. Bill, that's normally yours, right?
Yep.
All right, trustee Brain.
Cornwall and Hudson Police Department monthly report, November 1st through 30th, 2024. There were 509 total calls for service. There were no felony calls. Under misdemeanors and violations, there was 1 call regarding fraud, 1 criminal mischief, 2 petty larceny. There were no arrests. Vehicle and traffic. There was 1 personal injury accident, 1 property damage accident, 12 traffic summonses were issued, 14 traffic warnings were issued. There were 2 parking summonses issued, 50 traffic enforcement posts, and 2 radar speed sign postings. Non-criminal activity, there were 9 fire response calls, 2 alarm response calls, 4 suspicious incident calls, 10 animal complaints. And on departmental assists, the department assisted the town of Cornwall PD 14 times, 8 times helped EMS, and performed 2 citizens assists. During the month of November 2024, Cornwall Hudson PD received a formal grant award from the Bureau of Justice Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant in the amount of $5,009, which will be utilized toward the purchase of 1 AED automated external defibrillator unit and 1 radar and speed sign. During the month of November, Police Officer Bunt attended part of a required 2-week police officer refresher course, which is being sponsored by the Orange County Sheriff's Office and held at the Orange County Fire Training Center in New Hampton. During the month of November 2024, Cornwall and Hudson PD assisted with both traffic and security at the annual Cornwall and Hudson Christmas tree lighting and holiday event. Respectfully submitted, Chief Stephen E. Dixon.
Chief, anything to add? No, sir. Any trustees with any questions for the police chief?
Yeah, I had a question, and I'll send this to you, but I idly went through the reports from the year and put them into a single spreadsheet because I had a half an hour. But one of the things I realized was the total calls for service that are reported monthly, obviously the numbers in the tables related to the specific types of calls don't add up to that. Is that just every single call that comes in, I guess, is the 509 versus the, 60 or whatever?
Types of calls that come in, but typically we do post checks, say senior checks. When I say post checks, it could be anything from any one of the schools, the riverfront, Dunning Park. So those are all things that basically get done on a daily basis, so the numbers do add up pretty quickly, especially with the post checks.
So when we see these numbers, doesn't reflect the hours and the number of, the interactions and the number of times that people are out doing specific things. It's just, these are the ones that rise to the level because they're.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Is the animal complaints, is that mostly from Deer Hill? Or, doesn't that, is that a little higher than?
A lot of it, especially this time of year with deer mating season, we get a lot of calls for deer that are injured, that type of thing, harvest deers.
It's not just
It's
domestic
not just
animals.
nuisance
Yeah.
barking is what the question is. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nature.
nature, right.
But you do get nuisance barking calls from time to time, correct? From folks, okay. All right, any other questions for the chief? Moving on to the water department, trustee Carnwright.
I was just looking at order.
All right.
Okay, November 2024, monthly report. Monthly production, 22,272,000 gallons. Daily average, 742,000 gallons. We collected 32 samples under our approved water quality monitoring plan. Treatment, routine operations, and maintenance. Transmission and distribution, 126 utility markouts were completed. Water service shutoffs, turn-ons at owner's request. 200 Hudson Street, 8 Colonial Place, 9 Curie Road, 9 Holtz Lane, and 108 Harold Avenue. Water main leak repaired, the Boulevard, Billsgate Business Center, and New York Military Academy. Curb box repair, 200 Hudson Street and 21 Union Street. Service line leak repairs, 13 Lapani Lane, damaged by contractor. Pressure regulation station repaired, River Avenue. New water service connection, 275 Hudson Street. New meter pit installed, 42 Bayview Avenue. Winterized fire hydrants. Meters. Read all commercial and residential meters. 6 final water meter readings were completed. 4 residential water meters replaced. 3 miscellaneous jobs completed. 13 water line inspections were completed. Boil water advisory, Weeks Estate area issued and subsequently rescinded. Notes, completed annual Department of Health inspection. Issued lead service line letters. Staff attended continuing education through Hudson Valley Waterworks Conference. Completed final inspection of Stonehouse Development. Requesting authorization to purchase GIS equipment. Requesting authorization to allow P&D engineers to begin Sphagnum Dam rehabilitation design. Michael P. Trainer, Water Superintendent.
Michael, I know we're going to talk about Sphagnum later on, and the GIS mapping. Anything to add to the report?
No, sir.
Any trustees with any questions for the water superintendent?
Stone Hollow?
Yes.
That was to make sure that they had fulfilled the obligation of the bond, right?
Correct. So that's a new development. It's not quite new anymore. It's been going on for almost a decade, I want to say, over off of Willow Avenue. They ran into some delays in getting that finished and dedicated over to the town for the roadway, which they've completed all the punch list items. There's still a couple of outstanding water bills, accounting for about $35,000 to $40,000, which were owed. So they're going to have to pay them before we will take over the water system.
And Mike, in regards to that, I know in your letter, your in the email string, you were saying the homeowner association advised you that they were going to pay. Have you actually spoken to them?
I've spoken to the homeowners association.
Yeah.
They had a meeting with the developer, and according to the homeowners association, the developers agreed to pay. Speaking to the developer, he seems to be avoiding the issue. When it gets brought up, he goes, yeah, we'll talk about that, but they owe us the money.
Okay. Any other questions for the water superintendent? All right, New Windsor and Cornwall EMS, Deputy Mayor King.
We got DPWs.
Oh, did I skip DPW?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. DPW, Trustee Paleota.
November 2024. Numbers aren't in. Trash collected for the month. Numbers aren't in yet. Recycling collected for the month, 20.93 tons. Yard waste collected for the month, 100 yards. Mowing and trimming of village-owned properties. Preparation of winter equipment. Sweeping of streets. Repairs and maintenance of village-owned vehicles. Blacktop patching. Roadside leaf cleanup. Continuing work with FEMA and USDA for assistance. Village hall and bandstand areas prepared for the holiday season. Assisted events coming committee with setup and breakdown of the tree lighting. Notes, we have been working with our engineer with repair solutions for the crossing of Partridge Road. Dave Halverson, Superintendent of Public Works.
That's it?
That's it.
Just close it, okay, yeah. All right, I'm sorry.
Moving on to.
David, anything to add? No?
Under the notes there, we were talking about working with the engineer, Jason and I have been.
We're talking about the Partridge Road Bridge up on the top of Mountain Road.
We're making a small modification. We're gonna increase the diameter of the pipe. I made some phone calls this morning, able to get it. It's gonna be probably 2 weeks to get it, but instead of having it immediately appear, it'll be a couple weeks, but we'll increase the capacity.
So it'll increase the flow, because obviously,
Right, Jason will bring us above the 100-year flood.
Yeah,
so unless we have another July 9th of 2023 500-year flood, this one should take care of the normal century
It's
floods.
closer in capacity to the existing culvert that is there, the archway, so we didn't want to reduce it that significantly. The smaller diameter pipe only left about 30% reserve for the 100-year storm, whereas the existing has about 60% reserve for the 100-year storm. The upsized culvert that Dave and I looked at more recently, he's discussing now, has about 50-something% capacity reserve. So it's very close to the 60 that is there now. And it will fit, and it'll save some cost on the concrete grouting around it, which is, it's
We're
obviously.
still using this slip line process.
It's not gonna be slip line, but it'll be inserted and then grouted around it so that it'll create a structure around it that will support the bridge above.
And you promised me that nothing will happen to the beautiful centuries-old aesthetics of that stone bridge.
Not
Well,
unless it
I-
gets wiped out.
I don't know if I'm gonna be out there shoving it in there myself, but.
But at least from the engineering perspective, that this should
Yeah.
keep that old structure there and yet bring this into compliance with current code, and you're comfortable with the increased flow that this will allow for.
Yeah, I do wanna say that that upper channel, that is a channel, not the archway itself, is gonna be enclosed, because that is, if you look into that channel and look at either side from scour, which is the velocity of the water against it, there is no base to those walls to support that channel anymore, so.
So what do we do with that? Because as, if I understand you correctly, you're taking a pipe and you're dropping it into a culvert, correct? Are we just leaving the pipe in the culvert?
No, it'll be covered over with concrete, so that will go in and go underneath those walls to help support it, and then the archway will stay the same because it's gonna be inserted in
But
there.
you said that further upstream, further on up the mountain, you're still gonna be putting the pipe in up there too?
We're gonna extend it up.
In the channel.
Will you be putting earth back over the top of that, or will it just stay there?
Well, there'll be concrete over the top of it that'll match with the existing walls that are there now.
Okay.
Just on the upstream side of this bridge?
Yes.
Not extending far up?
No,
Yeah,
just
okay.
to the length where the walls are now, there's a big drop off from the, there's like a ponding area up there.
How many feet do you think outside of the, so where Partridge Road runs over it, and we all know that there's the pipe that goes underneath of it and the bridge is over the top of it, how far upstream, if you will, where there's no bridge or road over the top of it, will the pipe extend?
About 18 feet.
18 feet, okay.
And it'll all
Is
be
that
covered.
normal? I mean, is that to have that just naked pipe out there like that?
Well,
It's not gonna be naked.
Well, there's concrete going to the top of it,
It's gonna be encased in concrete.
okay,
To the level of the existing walls on either side. So it'll,
got it, okay. I'm just trying to visualize this,
yeah,
I think I
it's
understand.
hard,
It's gonna be
and,
like a box culvert.
the only other thing we could do would be to take the walls completely down, not the archway again, those walls, and rebuild the footings completely underneath, which would be, rather expensive, because those are quite long, and
Yep.
it'd be a lot more work to do
Yeah,
that.
I mean, obviously, the main point of this is to make it safe and passable for, Dave, is it 6 or 5 houses up there?
There's 4 houses up there.
4 houses on Partridge?
And the pipe is gonna come out a little bit on the downhill side,
Yeah,
but we're gonna come out on purposeful, so that we can put natural rock and use the natural rock to build up to be
okay, yeah. I mean, obviously, the safety piece of this and the passability, if you will, is paramount, but it's such a beautiful area, and the complaints will come in fast and furious if we've got, you know what people are gonna say, because,
Utilities.
yeah,
That's why we're going this route.
okay, all right.
What's the culvert gonna be made out of?
It's ADS pipe, same as we're putting in the ground for other.
Okay. All right, any other questions for the DPW super?
You wanna talk about the car, or no?
Might as well, the hits just keep on coming, might as well. Gotta get to a fire truck too, so here we go.
Well, I spoke to them, you briefed them tonight?
I did, so just so the public knows what we're referring to. So the village had purchased 4 vehicles for department heads, probably back in 2017, 2016? 2016. One for the fire chief, which we're still using, one for the water superintendent, one for the DPW superintendent, one for the police chief. The vehicle that the police chief had, we subsequently surplused recently and received money back on that, and then put that into a new vehicle. The water superintendent's vehicle is currently being used by our code enforcement officer, since we don't have a vehicle per se for the building department. And Dave's vehicle had a little bit of had to go into the shop and had a little bit of minor issues with it, and it was suggested, go ahead, Dave, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, it's been a good car. The only thing we put on that car since we bought it, I've got just short of 80,000 miles on it in 8.5 years. But we put a starter in it, tires and brakes. That's basically all we've done to it. The current value of it's probably around $20,000. I took it in to get it re-inspected, and we were having troubles getting the computer system wouldn't, there's something going on inside it, and it wouldn't, we had a hard time getting it to pass inspection. The new inspection system is very difficult. But long story short, it passed inspection. They're notorious, the chief will tell you, they're notorious, the transmissions go at a certain point, usually about 80, 90,000 miles. You start having problems with transmissions and engine problems. We haven't put any money in this car. I think the mechanic actually suggested to me, and it wasn't the dealer, this mechanic, suggested it'd be a good time to get rid of it now. So I reached out to the place where we buy our fleet vehicles, and I think Mike got the last two fire chief's cars through them. They have fleet vehicles on the lot up there now. I provided you with the documents up on the dais there. They're on the lot. He's got two of them on the lot that are available right now, 2024. My suggestion this morning to the mayor was to split the cost amongst my budget lines. So, and then put back what we get if we surplus it.
So sanitation, highway, and sewer.
Yep.
And then take you think that surplus, we could get $20,000 out of this?
I think you can get pretty close to that.
Take 10 out of each of those three lines for the additional 30, and that would cover the 52,900,
Yep.
more or less.
The price could come in a little lower than that, because I can, that's the spec that they have right now. We can do a three-day mini bid through the, what is it,
Vehicle marketplace.
the government vehicle marketplace. And if somebody bids it lower, but
My argument to the board would be that we've replaced three vehicles, the police chief's vehicle and two fire vehicles. And the three vehicles that are left are the two vehicles that are left are the DPW superintendents and the water superintendents, which is being used by the code enforcement officer. And rather than wait for both of them to, what the bed, maybe it's a good idea to consider doing this now. Board members have any feelings one way or the other?
State bid, right? State bid?
yeah, it's under the contract, it's a state contract, yeah.
It's a good price.
Anybody strongly for, strongly against, or
It's a used 2024?
brand new?
No, brand new.
Okay. I thought I saw
It's,
it.
yeah, it's a leftover.
Yeah, I thought I saw some mileage on it, but no, that's the warranty. Never mind. And 52,900? And they wouldn't take the trade in, we would surplus it and get,
No, they wouldn't wanna take the trade, not, because the price of that vehicle, if we were to go buy
resale
it,
price, yeah, I understand.
is a little bit more than that.
And the only thing we're paying off right now is the front loader, is that what we're paying off?
No, the front end loader we use, fund balance for.
Okay. What one do we still have?
We
that we're
have,
still paying
the dump truck, I think that we,
for? Okay.
I did a 5-year lease purchase on that. That's already budgeted in, and
Okay.
those payments are budgeted automatically.
This is kind of the cyclical thing we've been doing for the past several years, so I don't have a problem with it, because we kind of get ahead of it. We went through that cycle 14
And we've
years
had no
ago.
maintenance. The vehicle's been up until now.
8 years ago, not 14 years ago.
No, I mean, well,
Yeah.
10 years
It's
ago.
gonna be 9 years old.
Looking to
Right.
purchase it.
No, I'm not talking about the vehicle, I'm just saying, in the
$20,000
past,
for a
we went,
9-year-old vehicle. ain't
we
bad.
tried to put us on this schedule to continue to do this, to keep updated, either with the leasing, which you just mentioned, or doing something like this, so I think it's helped us out. It sounds like to the public sometimes that we're spending a lot of money on vehicles, but at the end of the day, it's more preventative than anything else. So in the end, I think that the money is used in a reasonable manner.
I mean, the estimate for what we think that might come down the road that was causing the issue is probably somewhere around $6,000-7,000 repair. So you're probably at 10 to 12% of the cost of a new vehicle.
No, it's the same thing.
And the list price of that vehicle, the real price of that vehicle is what, about 80?
Probably that one is probably 60, 65,
At least 60.
yeah. Because that's the special service package. The same thing that they put police cars and fire chief's cars and stuff like that.
And that car gets banged around a bit because you're driving it off-road sometimes, or you're driving it in the snow and all that stuff when your guys are coming in, so.
You
Yeah.
need it to start in the middle of the night.
Yes. Does anybody feel strongly against making this purchase and going the route that we just described in order to finance it. So 20,000 approximately from surplusing of the old vehicle, and then $30,000 would be spread across 3 budget lines in DPW, the highway and sanitation and sewer.
Yeah, obviously, we can't surplus it until,
Right.
Is that already built into your budget, in the budget that we're gonna look at, Dave?
The preliminary.
no, I think,
25, 26.
I think we might be able to pull this off in this one. The current budget,
Okay,
which,
all right.
You suggesting it's gonna be a mild winter, Dave?
Don't say it.
Don't say it.
don't touch the money, Jim.
All right.
All right, okay. We don't need to do a resolution or anything on that, do that tonight? No, we don't need to do a resolution or anything on that tonight, right?
I don't know
You
if you have enough
probably should.
information to do the.
I mean, we have a vehicle, I mean,
But he was saying he's gonna do the mini bid.
I'll reach out, if we,
Okay.
we can,
we
do
can
we
do
can
this
do
at the
something
work
if we have
session
to.
on the 16th? I'm sorry, the 13th, we could do it on the 13th?
Yeah,
All right, we have a work session on the 13th.
yeah, I mean, if everything looks good, I'll talk to them and just tell them, make sure they have 2 of them on the lot, I'll just make sure they hold one.
Resolution for the work session on the, we'll have to go to a
Like,
special
in
meeting.
regards to the mini bid though, you can just explain to me the mini bid, when you had. when you have to do
What
it.
typically, Mike and I, we've done them before. You sit at the computer, you put your bid specs in, what you want,
Yeah,
and you put it in this portal, and it goes out to all the companies that are in the gov
right.
business, and they'll bid on them. Anywhere from, I mean, they're all over the place. You might come from Massachusetts, it could be anywhere.
How long is the bid good for after you submit? Once they
I
come in?
think it's 60 days.
I think so.
I think it's
Okay.
60 days.
Okay, so you could do this mini bid, and you can come back to us in January on the 13th, so we'll know if this is it or a mini bid
It
is
could be
better.
less.
Gotcha, okay,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
understood.
and then just to make it clear for Dave, and he knows this, but those 2 vehicles are the only ones that are left on that lot. And to get these state bid contract vehicles,
Yeah.
we can't order another one until next October. They only take Chevy and GM only take these builds, if you will, once a year. And that's why Basil Chevrolet, he'll order 50 of them all at once.
Okay. All right, so we'll look at doing that on the 13th, and in the interim, you'll look into this mini bid. Okay. All right, so that was DPW, and moving on to New Windsor and Cornwall EMS. Jimmy Kane.
All right, so for November 2024, with respect to personnel, they had 2 new part-time paramedics, 5 new volunteers, no staff injuries. As for operational, there were 414 total dispatches, 100% were covered. 324 calls in New Windsor, 78 in Cornwall, 10 in Cornwall and Hudson, 18 mutual aids to local agencies. They have 275 patients transported. Cornwall responded into New Windsor 24 times. New Windsor BLS responded into Cornwall 8 times. The average response times were in Cornwall 7 minutes 14 seconds, in the village 5 minutes 48 seconds, and in New Windsor 7 minutes 32 seconds. Unit number 173 struck a deer. It was repaired. The Windsor Unit 177 was sold to Wawayanda. A new ambulance for New Windsor is being picked up this week. The total cost with equipment was $389,000, replacing an ambulance that was purchased in 2015. A new medic fly car 185 is in service, replacing the 2015 vehicle, which was sold. New York State Department of Health inspection will take place in December. New scheduling software is being implemented for 2025, which will help make operations run more efficiently. They have still not heard back from Assemblyman Ekus regarding how to submit the reimbursement for a grant he awarded in April. Multiple attempts have been made to find out what needs to be done, and we're only told that they will get back to us. And the EMS has expended these funds as it was awarded to us in person by his office. There's a tentative meeting with Congressman Pat Ryan's office with respect to 2025 funding, and Senator Skoufis's grant for a heart monitor has been processed without issue. And that's it.
Well, since I have the deputy supervisor, I could ask him, the new contract, which expires with New Windsor EMS on June 30th, because it goes into effect July 1st, how close are, we're pretty close to signing that, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
I haven't memorized our agenda for tomorrow night, or I have a better answer.
That's
I actually haven't
outrageous.
memorized items 1 through 3.
No worries, but I know we're close to it, and that's obviously, it's obviously built into your budget that just passed, so I'm gonna assume that the numbers were amenable. Okay. All right, so that is that. Moving on now to public hearings. We obviously handled the one and kept it open regarding the no parking areas on the west side of Churchill. The next item is related to an authorization of electronic filing of annual conflict disclosure statements for our ethics committee. And what does that mean? Every year, village employees, including elected officials, have to fill out a disclosure, a financial disclosure form. By village code, if you can believe it or not, it's required to be on paper. We are changing that to allow electronic transmittals of those disclosure forms. So, Joe, did I miss anything on that? Or
No, do you want to, it's a continued public hearing, so you should open the public hearing.
So, yep, so I just gave a little preamble there, so it's a continuing of it, right?
Yes,
So
it's a
I'm
continued
gonna
public hearing.
I don't need to reopen it, though, if it's continuing, do
Well,
we?
oh,
Technically, right? If it's, because it's open.
I would open it.
true.
You would open it?
Yeah, but we open public hearings even though they're scheduled.
All right, then I'm gonna make a motion to reopen the open public hearing on local law entitled, quote, "Authorized electronic filing of annual conflict disclosure statements," close quote. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we need to allow the public an opportunity to speak if somebody is opposed to this, correct?
Yes.
Pass it tonight. Would anyone in the public like to speak for or against the changing of our public disclosure forms from paper copies to electronic copies? Seeing no one rushing up to the podium? Yes, sir.
Yeah. And the reason that we continued the public hearing to this evening was to allow the members of the Ethics Board to weigh in with their comments. Their comment was that they liked it very much. They had no proposed changes. And just to clarify, now you'll be able to file either electronically or by paper, right?
Okay. All right, understanding that, does any trustee have any input, yea or nay? Then I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we will, underneath resolutions, we will pass that via resolution when we get there. All right, next item is the public hearing on a proposed local law to override the tax levy limit established in general municipal law, section 3-C. This is a pro forma exercise that we do every year. Typically, we don't go over the tax cap. This year, the tax cap for Village of Cornwall and Hudson is 1.0067%. I do not anticipate, and I'll talk about the budget and where we are with that a little later, but I do not anticipate us going over that. But the board typically votes to allow itself to go over that if need be. So may I get a motion to open the public hearing to override the tax levy?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Does anybody from the public wish to speak for or against the board's vote to override the tax cap? Seeing none, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing related to the proposed local law to override the tax levy limit established in general municipal law, section 3-C. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
At a later point in time, once we get to resolutions, we will pass that via resolution. Next item, and we have our trustee engineer here, is related to the public hearing for MS4. So I'm going to make a motion to open up the public hearing for MS4. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jace, you want to do me a quick favor and, give a little,
I'll just come up so it'll be easier.
perfect.
Hi, Jason Pitangaro and Doge for the record. New York State passed requirements that we amend the stormwater management plan, which is what governs the MS4 reporting for the community, not just for Cornwall or Village of Cornwall and Hudson, but for all communities throughout New York State. So
We have amended the stormwater management plan that was sent over in draft form, and we're just here to have it, I guess, ratified or accepted by the board tonight. So if there's any comments regarding that, we can take them tonight or anything else, and then we'll be able to file that with DEC.
And you're still working on getting us the estimate for what it's gonna cost the board to have a complete evaluation of our stormwater system, correct?
Yeah, and actually that will tie in well with this too, because one of the requirements of the new management plan was to go back and re-look at all the stormwater outfalls. Obviously, there's not a ton of development that goes on in Cornwall and the Hudson because it is nearly fully built out, but I'm sure some of you guys have seen that there's a project with 17 new homes or something like that before the board. So, you know, those outfalls would also be getting added onto this as it progresses too. So, yeah, we'll be able to tie those both together. So there'll be some cost efficiency in doing that as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, everybody's obviously aware that December of 2022, July of 2023, October of 2023, and January of 2024 were the four massive storms. July of 2023 being the one that the governor referred to as a 500-year storm. So obviously, different pockets of the village of Cornwall and Hudson were impacted by each of those four storms differently. So we are very concerned going forward with making sure that that we're proactive in that. So good. All right, are there any, does anybody from the public wish, I opened it, right? Yes. Anybody from the public wish to speak in regards to MS4 as described by the village's engineer? Seeing no one, I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing related to MS4. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we will plan on passing that when we get to the resolution.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks,
Jason.
everybody. Have a good night.
Yep, thank you. All right. Okay, moving into resolutions. The first resolution of the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson is designed to set a time and place for the public hearing on a local law to, wait, we're not doing that tonight. Oh, we are doing that. We are doing the rescinding. I'm sorry, let me continue it. So, to set a time and place for a public hearing on a local law to rescind the local law number 4 of 2024, adopted on November 18, 2024, which extends the term lengths of village trustees and amends Chapter 15 of the Village Code by adding Article 3 governing terms of elected officials. So, Joe, this is just us rescinding it because we needed to wait a little bit before passing it due to the timing as recommended by NICOM, correct?
Yes, there are two interrelated issues, but these two resolutions and public hearings go together, right? So we had adopted it for procedural reasons. It was sent to the state. We should have held off on that. However, at the same time, NICOM has recommended that it should be adopted after January 1st. There's a little bit of a discrepancy in the laws. Admittedly, everybody admits to try to read all the interrelated statutes together is almost impossible. So because we had to reschedule anyway, we went back. I had several discussions with NICOM, and I found a way to both figure out a time period that satisfied both my research and complied with NICOM's recommendation. So what we're going to do to get the timing right is we're going to have two public hearings at the work session on January 16th, I think it is. The second meeting in the second Monday
in January.
Second Monday in
The 13th.
January.
Is the 13th,
Okay.
yes.
So what we'll do at the same time is have a schedule a public hearing to rescind the one that was filed, and a public hearing to schedule the same law to be adopted again.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so everybody's aware, this is in regards to the fact that the village board is seeking to increase the trustee terms from 2 years to 4 years. Not the mayor's term, only the trustees' terms, which would be consistent with what the town has. The supervisor's term is 2 years, and the town council is 4 years. We're looking to do the same thing for what we feel like would be a little bit more continuity on the board, rather than having every position on the board constantly running for office again. Now, Joe, here's my question. So we obviously set this up so that nobody currently on this board is going to have their term extended without running again under those new rules.
Correct.
However, the folks that are on the ballot on March 18th, this ballot initiative is on the ballot March 18th. They would still have to wait till their next election to be entitled to the 4-year term, or, so they're running for 2-year terms, right? Even though the ballot initiative is on the ballot.
Because we don't know if it's going to pass.
We don't know if it's gonna pass, so.
Right, so they can, right.
So if it does pass, it still doesn't mean those
Correct.
people, you know, whether it's Dave and Bill or whoever runs whatever, they would have a 2-year term. And at the end of their next term, then they would run for a 4-year term.
Correct.
Okay, that just cleared it up for
Yep.
me. Okay, do I need to read the rescinding resolution? And can I just add that?
If you want to skip to down towards the where at bottom, you can do that. But essentially, this is the same resolution that we do for all public hearings. The
Yes.
board's going to designate itself as lead agency. These happen to be laws, so you're going to preliminarily classify them as unlisted actions. We've already said we're scheduling them for the January work session,
Right,
and
right.
that's essentially the resolution.
So can I make a motion to pass the resolution of the village board setting a time and place for a public hearing on local law to rescind local law number 4 of 2024, adopted on November 18, 2024, extending the term lengths of village trustees and amending Chapter 15 of the Village Code by adding Article 3 governing terms of elected officials. This is the rescinding, correct? And can I enter this as per text, right?
Sure.
Okay.
It's in there.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on now. That was the rescinding. This is
That was the setting the public hearing for the rescinding.
rescinding. I'm
On
sorry.
the 13th.
Thank you, Bill. The next item is the resolution of the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson setting a time and place for a public hearing on introductory law number 2 of 2025 to amend Chapter 15 of the Village Code to include a new article concerning terms of office. You want to give your little spiel?
Sure, and the little spiel is that it's a local law, so the village board will be designating itself as lead agency with respect to the review of the local law and the seeker review, preliminarily classifying it as an unlisted action under seeker, scheduling the public hearing for the work session in January to adopt the local law to modify the terms of office.
Well said. So, may I have a second?
Second.
Well,
Let me, go ahead.
You can take it as per the document.
You can do as per document, or you can say,
Perfect,
I'll
you
move
do
what
it.
Joe just said.
Yeah, okay.
All right, you do it.
I will move what Joe just said with respect to setting the public hearing on amending Chapter 15 concerning terms of office. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a question. This is listed as local law number 2. Is the anticipated local law number
Correct.
number 1 is the
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further
Okay.
discussion?
Nope.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next item is related to the draft budget. So I have been working with the village treasurer, as well as with the department heads in relation to our upcoming budget. Remember, the village's budget is on a different timeline than say the towns. The town, like many other municipalities, their budget goes into effect on January 1st. Ours goes into effect on March 1st, but it has to be adopted no later than February 1st. The next meeting, or the closest business meeting to that, is January 27th, which is the fourth Monday, because we have a holiday on the 20th for Martin Luther King's birthday, is the 27th. So that gives us a few days after that, if there's any problems or issues. Each of the trustees has been given a copy of the preliminary budget, which basically is our split up into revenues and expenditures for the Gen A fund, or the general fund, as well as for the water system, the revenues and expenditures on that as well. We will continue to be discussing this. I've discussed it with individual trustees, and then we will be discussing it at our work session quite heavily, scheduled for January 13th. But in order to keep all these things in line, as the village treasurer gave me a nice little budget sheet here to tell me what's due when, to make sure that we don't run afoul of New York State or county requirements, we need to schedule a public hearing on the tentative budget, and we are looking to do that, Megan, tonight, right? We're gonna schedule the budget hearing for the 13th, which is the work session, correct? Okay, got it. All right, so I'm gonna make the following resolution and move for its adoption.
Put on January 27th, but we can.
Oh, no, we're gonna do it the 27th, not the work session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Good catch. All right, the 26th. So, all right, I'll read it, and that's contained in here. If I make a mistake, let me know. Whereas in accordance with the New York State Village Law, Section 5-508, subsection 3, the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson wishes to set a time and place for a public hearing to obtain input and to consider the proposed budget for the village's 2025 fiscal year. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved that a special meeting to be scheduled by the Village Board for the purpose of conducting a public hearing in order to receive public comment regarding the proposed village budget on January 27, 2025 at 7:01 PM in the Village Hall Boardroom right here, and any other business that may come before the board, and it is further resolved the village clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause public notice of said hearing to be given as provided by law. May I have a second?
Second.
Before, I'm going to add this before I ask for further discussion. The public is entitled, we have a preliminary budget, and if the public would like to stop in to see the village treasurer, that's Megan Gishwin, during the duty day, 8:30 to 4:30 PM every day. She is entitled to an hour for lunch, though, so please understand that. But you can get a copy of that, and if you have any questions, you can either see the village treasurer or myself. And if I can't answer the question, I will send you back to the village treasurer. This is a preliminary budget. If this village board does not pass this budget by February 1st, which is a Saturday, and I know none of them want to be dragged in for that, so if we don't pass it on January 27th, the preliminary budget becomes the budget. So it's, the onus is on us to get this passed and to go back and forth on different things. I have my final meetings with the water superintendent, the DPW superintendent, and the police chief on Friday regarding budget. So we will be doing tweaks along the way, but if we don't pass this on the 27th, it does become the budget. All right? All right, so I'm going to set, I already did that, so I'm just, further discussion from any other trustees?
Just for the members of the public who might be tuning in, just that it's about 5 million for the general fund, 3.3-ish million for the water fund, 521,000 for sewer. Just preliminary budgets in that range, just so people know.
Yep, well said. So we deal with about an $8 million budget, understanding that the $3 million water budget is not just made up of village residents, it's also made up of town residents on the retail and the commercial side that obviously use the water that's delivered by the village. Okay. We passed that, or no? No, that was, I think, so, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, next item, resolution of the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson to schedule a public hearing on the proposed extension of the village's cable television franchise agreement with Spectrum Northeast LLC. Do I really want to read this, or, Joe, do you want to just,
Sure.
Can you summarize for us the verbiage here in regards to this resolution?
Sure.
What we're looking to
So the
accomplish?
first thing really just to note is that we had initially scheduled the public hearing to start this evening. However, and I prepared a draft of the public hearing notice, sent it to Spectrum. Spectrum wanted some changes to the notice. By the time we got the requested changes and revised it, there wasn't enough time left to publish it in the paper for tonight. So we spoke to Spectrum. We just pushed it out to next month. So is there a lot of this? So essentially, what the board is doing is what we have done with the other resolutions. You're going to be designating yourself as lead agency to review, determining that this is actually a type 2 action under seeker and that no further review is required, and scheduling the public hearing for January 27th. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
For the board to consider and the public to make comment on the adoption of authorizing the mayor to execute an extended contract with Spectrum.
Okay.
It's a 15-year contract.
15-year
Yeah, they're always 15 years, that's,
It was that long term.
yeah, it is long-term. All right, I'm gonna make that, I'm gonna make that resolution, what Joe just said. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion regarding the franchise agreement, 15-year agreement with Spectrum from the trustees? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All right, next item is the local law entitled amending Chapter 12 of the Village Code entitled Code of Ethics to authorize the electronic filing of annual conflict disclosure statements. I'm going to make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas on October 21st, 2024, a resolution was duly adopted by the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson, scheduling a public hearing to be held by said governing body for November 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at Village of Cornwall and Hudson Village Hall to hear all interested persons on a proposed local law to modify the terms of office for trustees from 2 years to 4 years. That's not this. Where am I? What's the wrong resolution? The Code of Ethics. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I'm gonna do this off the top of my head then. So in order to modify or amend the village code, which previously stated that ethics statements, disclosure forms had to be handed in paper copies, this resolution sets forth to allow village employees and village elected officials the opportunity to submit their financial disclosure forms to the Ethics Committee via either paper copy or electronic transmittal. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item is local law to override the tax levy limit established in General Municipal Law, Section 3-C. Make the following motion and move for its adoption. Joe, rather than me reading this whole thing, do you want to give a quick summary of
Sure.
what we're doing?
Sure. So we initially scheduled a public hearing on October 21st, conducted it on November 18th. Wait a second. This is the tax law override. Okay. So scheduled the public hearing for this evening. There were no comments concerning the local law. The village board has confirmed that it was the lead agency for purposes of performing seeker review. And the board finds that the proposed local law is an unlisted action under seeker, issues a negative declaration, finds that it's in the best interest of the village to adopt the local law, and hereby adopts the local law, directs the clerk to enter the local law in the minutes of the meeting and the law book of the Village of Cornwall on Hudson, and to provide the Secretary of State with notice of the adoption of the local law within 20 days.
Thank you, Joe. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Again, we will, for all intents and purposes, in all likelihood, not exceed the tax cap. We vote for the option to do so if necessary. The current version of our budget does not include going over the tax cap. Okay, MS4, you heard a great dump there from the village engineer regarding to what it is for. I'm going to go ahead and make this motion and ask the board to move for its adoption. Whereas the village board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson is a municipal separate storm sewer system, hereafter referred to as MS4, community regulated under the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Phase 2 Stormwater Rule. And whereas as an MS4 community, the Village of Cornwall and Hudson is required to maintain permit coverage under SPDES MS4 GP 024001, and whereas pursuant to SPDES MS4 GP 024-001, which became effective on January 3rd, 2024, updates to the village's stormwater management program plan are required to comply with the new permit requirements. And whereas an updated SWMPP was prepared by the village's consulting engineer in July of 2024, and whereas the village board has reviewed the updated SWMPP, and now therefore it is hereby resolved that the village board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson adopts the updated stormwater management program plan dated July 2024. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Jason, anything to add? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so Is Phyllis gonna come tonight?
She said
Okay,
she would.
all right. So the,
No, I talked to Phyllis.
oh, you talked to her? Okay. So the director of the town rec department, which obviously the Village of Cornwall and Hudson is a part of that, a part of the town in that regard, and in many regards, but was supposed to come in tonight, but I'll talk to her. She had asked that the village board consider a special event application for a wedding at Donahue Farm. We've had one done at Donahue Farm. Donahue Farm is not yet quite in the condition where we are prepared to just allow blanket approvals, events to happen down there. Yes, the village holds events down there. Yes, the village and town together hold events down there. Things like the Special Events Committee or the Cornwall Youth Committee have events down there. The Donahue Committee is another one. But we have allowed one wedding to be held down there with the caveat that they wouldn't be using any of the buildings that are, remember, part of the New York Forward grant award is to perform renovations and remediation to the barn and to the ice house to, make them more community-centric venues. But as of right now, they're not in that condition. So the special event application for us to consider, the wedding is scheduled for November 8th, 2025?
Correct.
All right, and I know that the village board is in possession of the special event application. If it's okay, I really would prefer to have Phyllis kind of give us a briefing on that.
We can push this over till the work session. What's a month?
Yeah, my only thing is that if you're planning a wedding, obviously having a venue is so important. Maybe we could pass it with the caveat that that we have Phyllis come in and.
I think that's a good idea, because
Yeah,
I think they
pending-
expected us to pass it tonight.
All right, let's do that with the
Pending
caveat that the
compliance
board is okay with the request.
And I'll
once
talk to
it's-
Phyllis.
Okay?
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve the special event application as is filled out in the possession of all board members, pending a briefing from Phyllis Murphy in regards to the details of it. But as such, we will allow this special event to take place at Donahue Farm property on November 8th, 2025. May I have a second?
And Mr. And as part of that, they have requested a waiver from the prohibition on alcohol. So that should be a part of the approval, even if it's contingent.
Absolutely.
Can't have a wedding without a nice Chardonnay.
And
Contingencies as well. The insurance they'll have to show, they'll have to have
they'll-
the inspection of the tent, et cetera. things like
all the things. But yes, that's a good point, Joe. And I think we did allow alcohol at the only wedding that we permitted down there, as I recall. So, okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay, moving on, resolution of the village board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson, setting usage charges for water customers.
Riverfest.
Okay, but this doesn't say Riverfest, it says wedding at Donahue Farm.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, well, I have that form, and luckily, the deputy supervisor is here, or the capo di tutti capo, as we Italians call him, for Riverfest. So let me just pull that form up. Where's my Riverfest? There it is. I'll take that one. Thank you. Okay, so the village board has already approved Riverfest, correctly? We're passing the resolution tonight for it. We gave him a straw poll, yes, it was gonna be good. All right, so, what's the date on this again? June 1st, 2025, just like it says at the top up here. Okay. Should I do this separately? Should I do two separate resolutions, Joe, in regards to one of the things that the Riverfest Committee is requesting of the village board is a waiver on the prohibition or the restriction of alcoholic beverages on village property. They would like to have a sanctioned, board-approved beer garden with strict guidelines and rules for how alcoholic beverages will be dispensed and what the security posture will be and how it's gonna be checked and all those kind of things. Should I do two separate ones, approve Riverfest first and then discuss some of the items that, I'll do that. So the date being requested for Riverfest, which 26 years running, -2 for COVID?
This will be the 26th.
this will be the 26th with only two years. I believe it was 2021 and 2022.
Okay,
I think those were the two, or 2020 and 2021.
okay.
I think it was the latter. I think it was 2020 and 2021. We didn't have it, but this will be the 26th year. You've been doing this since 1998. And Wynn has been the driving force behind this, although he always deflects, rightly so, he always deflects all the credit to his intrepid committee, but you have to have somebody that's the driving force, and that's him on this. So I'm gonna make a motion that the village allow the Riverfest committee to hold their annual celebration of Riverfest at the Donahue Memorial Park properties of the village on the date of June 1st, 2025. That's a Sunday? On a Sunday, June 1st, 2025. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, the event is approved. And now the next item is something that the deputy supervisor and one of his committee members, Jamie Fox, one of his committee members who happens to work in the adult beverage industry. Would that be fair to say that? People got nervous when I said the adult such and such and
It's a
beverage industry.
long pause there, Mr. Mayor.
Right.
Brewers Association, I don't know what the actual name is, but
Yeah.
it's the
But-
State Brewers Association.
But the deputy supervisor come to me and floated this idea by me, and I said, sure, let me talk to the village board. And I said, in the interim, can you come in and just kind of make the pitch, of which he and Ms. Fox did. Then brought it to the village board to see if there would be appetite for this. The town, is looking at this. I know that they discussed it at their meetings. They did not allow it for July 4th, but I think there are a lot of the local municipalities with rules and regulations and a way to monitor the potential for minors to be able to purchase alcohol at an event. And as long as the alcohol is consumed in a restrictive area, a lot of municipalities are allowing this. So the village board, I took a straw poll, I'm not holding them to the vote, but I took a straw poll to see if there was appetite for it. There was. Mr. Gold then sent in this proposal, which basically says, and I'll just read it from the top. We're proposing to host a beer garden at Riverfest 2025. We propose to host the beer garden next to the main stage at the southern end of the park. Local breweries will provide the setup tents, will provide setup, tents, jockey boxes. What's a jockey box?
You have to ask Jamie.
Okay, bars, etc. The area will be fenced in, so all alcohol, all pouring equipment, and the attendees that are participating in this are in a space separate from the general public. We will provide, now we being the Riverfest Committee, we will provide security at the entrance and the exit to the quote-unquote beer garden. ID, valid ID, showing proof of one's age will be required to access the beer garden. No alcohol may leave the beer garden area, and the plan is for the Riverfest Committee to work with local breweries from the surrounding area, such as Newburgh, Aspire, Industrial Arts, Hudson North, et cetera, to participate in this. They will obtain on their own a 1 day, which is allowed and we've used for other things. Some of the other committees, like the 4th of July committee, is used to sell alcohol down at the riverfront, in which the Cornwall Youth Committee used to sell alcohol to adults, don't get carried away here, to raise money for Cornwall Youth Committee events. So you'll be responsible for getting a 1 day permit from the State Liquor Authority, or the SLA, and 100% of the proceeds would go directly to Riverfest to fund future festivals. Signed, Mr. Wingold. So obviously, as we get closer, we would need to drill down on this and refine this. We'd have to talk to Manny in regards to what the requirements for inspections for any vendor or thing like that is, how it's distributed. I'd certainly want you to work in concert with Chief Dixon. We do provide police officers down there, but how best to do this, and because we know that if this fails, it'll never happen again in Cornwall. So we have to be successful in this to make this work, so that other opportunities for doing the same and at future Riverfest opportunities will be accepted. So I am going to propose that, pending further details and drilling down on exactly where and how and what this looks like, and we'll take that on with the Riverfest Committee. Pending final approvals, we will give the initial approval tonight to allow you to begin the planning process for a beer garden at Riverfest. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Yes.
Just or opposed or
Just
worried?
to add a point of interest, the proposal offered forth by the 4th of July committee was just, it wasn't a formal proposal. It was just floated, and it was a last minute thing. It wasn't done at this time like it should be. It was just an idea that was put forth, and either the town board, between them and us, we just kind of tabled it because we didn't feel there was enough time to properly prepare,
That's fair.
what Wynn's doing now.
That's fair.
It was like if we were having it in 2 weeks, so
Got it. Got
it's
it.
a difference.
And this, you're doing it over half a year out, and we've got time to refine it and to make sure that, we have the proper planning and security. And obviously, the biggest thing is the liability aspect of this, because obviously,
I'm happy to answer any questions. The only thing that I'll volunteer is, I have, over the last 28 years, this is the first time I said yes to this concept. And the reason for that is I've got a Jamie Foxx who's, the mayor pointed out that I defer to my committee. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't propose it if I didn't have Jamie, because this is what she does. And, I mean, the ball's in her court. I have every confidence that this will be done correctly, and hopefully it acts as a model, not just for Riverfest, but for when the 4th of July committee comes back. I would recommend being deputy supervisor relatively soon to the town board if the desire is there for this year's festival as well. I'm comfortable that we can do this safely. The mayor and I have had conversations. The mayor and Jamie and I have met. I'm not going to take credit for it. Jamie wrote the memo. I just, kind of put the crust of T's and dotted the I's. And, she made a compelling argument as to why this would work. And we're all comfortable with it. So we appreciate your consideration.
Win, and the thought is that the individual breweries would have alcohol on tap and do it in cups.
Yep.
So they wouldn't be now, they had also talked about, or I think Jamie had floated the idea about them possibly being able to sell their wares as well. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be a concern about glass bottles down there, obviously, with the, the.
That's a detail that we haven't dealt with
Got
yet.
it.
We're gonna have our first meeting. I don't even remember if I asked Doris yet if we could use the meeting room. I mean, but it'll be like the second week in January. And we're not gonna spend a lot of time micromanaging this in January, but by the time we get to March,
Yep.
we'll pretty much have it nailed down.
Yeah.
And, you and I have discussed this. If it doesn't work, it's never gonna happen again.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it won't even be a question of us coming to you and asking permission, because I'll just kill it.
It's got to be a success. Yeah, and it's, if we're smart about it. But the individual brewers will sell their own. They'll have it on tap and they'll sell it. They'll sell their own.
If you go back to 1998, part of the rationale behind Riverfest was as an economic development vehicle. And that doesn't just relate to Cornwall. We want to support regional businesses too. And, I have a selfish reason for doing this too. Riverfest isn't free. We raise the money, and it's always been whatever we take in this year is going to pay for next year's Riverfest. And if this is successful, this could be a significant revenue source for us going forward.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna.
Council wanted to say
Council.
something.
I think I don't want to be too hyper technical. Of course, setting the date, it's everything's subject to, of course, them signing the indemnification and getting the proper insurance and and working with the chief on traffic and the building inspector on the tents and the setup and the wires and everything else. I don't know if we're separating it into too many resolutions, but just if you didn't say it in the first resolution, I think these things should be incorporated into the second one.
Good. What you just said as
Yeah,
far
just
as.
make a motion to do what I just
I'm
said.
gonna make a motion to allow a beer garden to be part of the Riverfest celebration event on June 1st, 2025, subject to all the items that council just mentioned.
Including the event itself, subject to
Right.
working with for traffic with the chief and the building inspector. That's all, that's the motion.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Done. All right. Next item of business. Yeah, get out while the getting's good. Oh, yeah. Where is that? You know, you're gonna have to fix all these, all the resolutions. Is water rates next, or is it water department surplus equipment? Oh, no, you are right, it is water rates. Hold on, let me find it. Water custody, yes. Okay, this is it. Okay, so the next item is this. So last Wednesday, at Village Hall, myself, the deputy mayor, trustee Brain, Judge McKay, our counsel, the superintendent of schools, Mr. Dade, the Board of Education president for the Cornwall Central School District, Mr. Cragen, Mr. Gaba, who's counsel for the town, and Mr. Wojciechowski, who's the supervisor for the town, and the school district's council met to discuss water rates and what the village's plan was. And I know I've been talking about water rates for a long time, so I'm not gonna go into great detail here, except to say that the village board has come to the conclusion that we are gonna set up a three-tiered rate structure. And that three-tiered rate structure is gonna involve, essentially, in the village, residential and commercial rates, and then in the town, residential, all of them are gonna be residential, commercial, and then a municipal rate. And the municipal rate is essentially going to be for taxing authorities. We've been over this many, many times before in discussing this. The town charges us property taxes on the properties where we have water in reserve and where we treat water to be delivered. And the school district does too. It comes out to the tune of about $200,000 between the two of them, $200,000 per year. The water budget, as trustee Brain pointed out, is $3 million. So it is 7% of our operating budget we pay in taxes. So it costs us more money to deliver to the school district and to deliver to the town because of that. We don't want to have that impact Mrs. McGillicuddy, who lives on Main Street, who's just a residential consumer in the town, because it's not costing us additional money to deliver water to her. It's costing us additional monies to deliver it to the town. So the town rate will be for the municipality, meaning the buildings that belong to the town, and for the school district. So in the school district where there are 5 or 6 facility buildings, there's 2 in the village, the admin building and Cornwall and Hudson Elementary School, but you've got the elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school in the town. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this. Recently, it was a number of months ago that the village board changed the out of village rate for water rates. Right now, currently, everybody in the village pays $12 per 1,000 gallons. Everyone outside the village pays $16 per 1,000 gallons. This is going to slightly adjust those rates. Again, not for individual residents in the town or the village, and not for commercial entities in the village or the town, only for the taxing authorities. So whereas the Village Board of Trustees has formed a joint village and town water committee to obtain input from stakeholders concerning water service both within and outside the village boundaries, and has undertaken an exhaustive review and analysis of the costs incurred by the village in producing and supplying water to its customers, including the manner and means by which water charges were historically determined, and whereas the village's analysis has led to the determination that the historical binary means means of setting rates by apportioning the cost of producing water based solely upon residency does not adequately or equitably apportion water production costs to the end state user. And whereas New York State Village Law Section 11-1118 and Village Code Section 165-6 authorize this Village Board of Trustees to set water usage charges. And whereas based upon its analysis and as an initial step in implementing revisions to its water rate structure, on or about May 20th of 2024, the Village Board adopted a local law amending the Village Code to eliminate what it believed was an inequitable historical requirement that outside of village water users be charged a rate 80% higher than in-village water users. And whereas the Village Board has determined that implementing a new tiered categorization of users that sets water rates based not upon residency, but upon the costs incurred by the village to provide those end users with water is a more equitable procedure for allocating water charges to its customers. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved, the Village Board hereby determines that it will be the lead agency with respect to the review of and establishment of a tiered system of water usage rates, or hereafter referred to as the action, in accord with the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SECRA, and Part 617 of the regulations implementing SECRA, since there are no other agencies that have authority to approve this action, and let it be further resolved, the Village Board hereby classifies the action as a Type 2 action pursuant to Part 617.5 C33 of the regulations implementing SECRA, and determines that no further environmental review is required, and let it be further resolved, the Village Board hereby determines that consumers of water will pay the following usage rates. And there's a table attached to this. So for the Village of Cornwall and Hudson, water usage rates, in-village rates, for residential consumers in the customer class, the water rate will remain $12 per 1,000 gallons. For commercial consumers in that customer class, the water rate shall remain $12 per 1,000 gallons, and for any public entity consumers, $27.33 per 1,000 gallons. Out of village or in-town rates, customer class residential consumers, the water rate shall remain $16 per 1,000 gallons. For commercial consumers in that customer class, the water rate shall remain $16 per 1,000 gallons. However, for public entity consumers, the water rate will be $27.33 per 1,000 gallons. Now, how did we arrive at that number? That number for those taxing authorities was added on to the $16 per 1,000 gallons that they were already paying to make up the approximately $200,000 in taxes that we pay every year to the town and to the school district for the privilege of delivering them water. So it wasn't an arbitrary number that the Village Board came up with. It was consistent in keeping in line with what the additional cost borne on the village water system to deliver water to those entities. May I have a second?
Second.
No. I mean, excuse me. Discussion.
No?
Yes.
Discussion.
Go.
The
Well, I
effect,
was gonna say a second first, and then further discussion.
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
jumped
All
on
right,
it.
so I got a second. Further discussion. Yes, Judge.
Just remember, this is going to, we have to set an effective date for the rate change, which I think is what, January 15, Mike?
January 15th.
So that is part of the
And Michael,
motion.
explain why we elected to go with January 15th as the date for those cost increases to be incurred.
Currently, we're in the middle of a billing cycle, and to make that cost increase effective today, we'd have to split the billing cycle into two different rate charges. It makes it easier for accounting purposes. January 15th is when the new billing cycle will start, and we'll start fresh at that point with the new rate structure.
And you'll obviously notify your team to start working on adjusting those bills. All right, thank you. All right, any further, Judge, anything to add?
I apologize for my outburst. I thought you were jumping right to the approval.
I think I've seen you in the 6 years that I've known you.
Thought you were going right to the approval. I didn't.
No.
Lost a gavel.
I got one somewhere.
Used to be here.
All right, any further discussion? Bill?
Naturally. It's taken me some time to reach a decision on how I would vote on this bill. or bill, whatever you call it.
Resolution.
A resolution, thank you. But I am in favor of it, as I will vote when we call the vote. And that's partly because the water facilities provide a local public benefit, and state law therefore allows us, the village to request and the town and the school district to grant, at their discretion, a waiver of those property taxes, which I think would be the right way to go. But they have historically declined to grant that waiver. And I'm also in favor of passing it at the current structure that's proposed here, because the village board has the authority to revisit these rates based on further analysis and customer classification. I know that the water superintendent provided us with a quote for water rate analysis that would be even more broad than what has already been done, which is extensive. So I see passing this as the right way to go to recoup tax payments that we're making in the shorter term, but I would ask that we not drop this as something to be reviewed in a more holistic, it's already been reviewed fairly holistically, to continue to review it in a holistic manner. So that's it. That's just to explain where I was, how I came around to this. And I guess I'll just mention the point about double taxation, essentially, just that village residents pay school taxes, as we all know, and users of the water system pay usage fees for the water. In addition, then, the village being taxed for those water properties means that the village taxpayers, who pay village tax as well, portion of the budget that we allocate for all of our expenditures goes toward those taxes. So essentially, we're paying taxes twice, essentially. So I think that it's, for all those reasons, I'm a yes vote on this.
And I just want to add, thank you, Bill, I agree
Yeah,
with
well said. I would said it better than
with
I
everything
could.
that Bill said, and I just went in a couple other things. One of which was, this was completely transparent. I think the mayor did a great job of messaging this to the town, meeting with them. I think we absolutely, we did our due diligence. I think we went above and beyond what we needed to do in regards to advising the town where we wanted to go, potentially reaching, what I would term a settlement to make it more palatable for both the village and the town. We didn't get there, but that being said, as Bill indicated before, the situation with the town may change. They will have the opportunity each year to exempt our properties, as well as the school district. So that may change. It could be a year. Most likely it'll take more than that. But that being said, we will still be poised to react to that. If they do it, then we could potentially then lower the rate again. So that option is still on the table. It just might take some time.
Yep, well said. Dave, Lori Beth, anything to add?
No.
Just to put a fine point on what Jim and Bill both said, and they both said it excellently. This has been an ongoing process now for about 4 years. So, yeah, we came to this decision only after extended conversations and trying to figure out a way to, as I always say, to get to yes on it. We have a number of examples. Town of Newburgh and City of Newburgh are perfect examples where, the water properties are in the town, and yet the city is the one that delivers water, and they do exempt the properties there. So the town does not charge taxes on the city for the privilege of delivering water. Orange County does not charge us taxes on our water properties either. Orange County would have a right to do that. And for anyone that says, well, wait a minute, but you didn't ask for the town of New Windsor to exempt your properties. You have water property out on Riley Road. Why not that? Well, we don't deliver water to the town of New Windsor. We're not delivering anything, bringing a goods or service to them. So there's no need. Of course, they're going to every year look at our request for exemption. It's pro forma. We know they're going to say no, and we ask, but they never grant it. And to be honest with you, I don't blame them for not doing it. But with the town and the school district, for many of the reasons that have been stated previously, and Bill's double taxation piece, which is the biggest argument, I think, to do that, and especially since back in 1974, good old Doc Donahue, Mayor Donahue at the time, made a decision in 1974 that it was going to be a plus 80% difference between in-village rates and out-of-village rates because of the property tax exemption issue. And through the years, that plus 80 just got shrunk and shrunk and shrunk because prior mayors and boards moved up the village rate, charged us more money so that the gap was closed, so they didn't have to charge the town more money to deliver water. And what we're trying to do is just recoup that $200,000. So, Joe.
And what I'll add is that the board was fully transparent to the town, and the school district provided the analysis, had multiple meetings over a long period of time, and left the process open. The village board proposed that in the future we might potentially enter into an intermunicipal agreement either with the town or the school district or both, and really just invited them to come back with any ideas that they might have for a better resolution of the issue, and left it open to future discussions and modifications.
So the village has had a water system since Mike, 95. I didn't want to say which one. Since 1895. And the first IMA, intermunicipal agreement between the village as the deliverer of said services or precious resources and the town was just struck this last year. I think we did that this summer. We never even had an IMA with them. So this was long overdue. Glad we got to the point where we are talking about these things. And as the deputy mayor and trustee Brain both pointed out, and Joe did as well, this is a work in progress, and we hope that we'll continue talking to them. We held a number of water committee meetings with the town initially early on over water sales and water rates and a whole host of other things, including the IMA. And down the road, I hope that continues. I think it's good and healthy, and the town will probably be asking us to do the same thing on the sewer side since they own the sewage treatment plant. Okay, moving on to some stuff that we should be able to do pretty quickly now. Water Department surplus equipment. Michael, we have a backhoe, a pickup truck, and a trailer, correct?
Yes, did you call a vote on that, though, on that rate resolution?
I did not. Oh, my goodness. All right, so any other further comments? Thank you. Of course, the water superintendent noticed. All in favor? Aye. All right, five ayes and no nays. All right, thank you for pointing that out. Joe was so long-winded, I forgot we did it. All right, water equipment. Michael, backhoe, pickup truck, and trailer, correct?
Yes.
All right, so you're looking for the board to allow you to surplus a 2002 Case 580 N as in November backhoe with a VIN of JJG0284092 and a 2011 Ford F-350 pickup truck with plow with VIN as per document, and a 2013 Big Tex equipment trailer with VIN as per document. Michael, anything to add on that the trustees should know about?
I will just say that, as the deputy mayor alluded to earlier in the conversation this evening about our replacement schedule, those vehicles have all been replaced over the last year to keep up with that cyclical replacement schedule. And now that we've gotten all the new equipment in, we're looking to surplus it, the old stuff.
Okay. Any questions for the superintendent? Nope. Any further discussion from the board? All in favor? Aye. Next item, resolution-wise, is an authorization for appropriations of fund balance for the fire truck purchase. Recently, the village board had a, Chief, what would we call, or Rick, what would we call the guy that came in that assessed the department? What's that called? It was a consultant, but what was that he did? It was
He did a fleet assessment.
Fleet assessment, thank you. You can't call it trucks, they're apparatus. So we obviously are on a schedule now. We know that we purchased a pumper truck that, obviously with the supply chain backlog and everything, we're doing this. Jim Kane talked about it, doing it on a cyclical basis. We're doing this now where future village boards are gonna need to stay on top of this so that we don't have vehicles, apparatus that are all obsolete like we do right now. In the interim, we are gonna have to put a Band-Aid on a suck and chest wound since we do need another vehicle on a temporary basis. So, we've discussed this, the village board is all okay with this in regards to the straw poll that I took. So I'm gonna make a motion and move for this adoption of an authorization for the deputy treasurer to move from fund balance line, which is Alpha 599. Remember, fund balance is essentially surplus or available monies, to Alpha 3410.2, the fire equipment expense line, in the amount of $60,000 for the purchase of a 2000 Pierce Dash pumper. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Commissioner, anything to add on this? Mr. Chief, anything to add on
This
this?
is for the vehicle that was in the accident, correct?
The insurance proceeds that we get will more than cover that 60,000.
Yes, we are not cashing that, the check that came in from the insurance
This is for
company.
the one that was in the accident.
Yes, and the check that came,
Well, temporary replacement.
yeah,
of the
temporary replacement until we settle with the insurance company for the cost of the essentially totaled apparatus.
And then when the new vehicle comes in, what happens to this vehicle?
I don't know.
Would you be able to surplus it?
Will we have room for it?
Yes, the new vehicle we have room for, it'll take the bay that the
I think he
damaged
means
vehicle.
the 2026.
To have them both?
You mean the
No, we're not gonna have both.
new one we bought?
This is replacing the
Yeah, this
This
is the
replacing the
temporary
one that
busted
got
one.
totaled.
Right, but that now
the
we
other
have a
one's replacing
brand
the
Pumper
new.
tanker is replacing two vehicles.
Yeah, in 2026, we will have to
Figure
surplus the
something out.
vehicle, yeah.
That's right.
Okay,
No, he was right.
all right. Any further discussion?
I just want to make sure I had it right.
You got it right. All in favor? Aye. Okay,
By the way, that's a good deal, right?
Yeah.
under the
It's a
circumstances?
good deal.
Under the circumstances, it is.
Yeah.
The vehicle we're getting is quite a bit younger. We'll easily get 2 years out of it.
Good.
I think the one that we lost was a better machine, but what are you gonna do?
It is what it is, yeah. Okay, next item is the engineering proposal for the Sphagnum Dam. Remember, the Sphagnum Dam is, of our 5 reservoirs, it's the second highest one altitude-wise. And it's our oldest one and the one that's in the need of the most repair. I've been talking about this and using this number, throwing it around like candy, that it's a $2 million repair to remediate this thing and bring it up to standards. It's an earthen dam, and in order to have our engineering firm, Pintagara and Deutsch, do this, the village, I'm gonna make the following motion. The Village of Cornwall and Hudson requires the engineering services of P&D for the Sphagnum Dam Rehabilitation Project. This is a triage deal where it is the one, Mike, right, the one in most need of repair. The one
Yes.
Most necessary of the 5. So this is a proposal for professional engineering services, has been received from P&D Consulting Engineers in the amount of $233,880. Jason, what is the percentage that this is on the cost of it? I mean, to do this, it's a certain percentage of it. What is that percentage? Mike, you told me this morning,
10, right?
It's about 10% of the construction cost.
10%, which from some of the research that we did on our end is more than reasonable. I guess you gave us the friends and family rate since you are our contractor.
Yeah, and we used the same amount so we had applied for funding for this project. We're not aware of whether we will receive, the village that is, the funding or not, but we used the same amount that we had requested in the funding for those services as the amount that we proposed in the proposal.
Can't be any more fair than that. All right, so I'm gonna move that the village board accept this proposal and authorizes the mayor to execute the proposal. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, GIS mapping. Mike, you wanna give a quick dump real quick on what this is and then what we're gonna spend to do this?
Yeah, sure. So we're looking to take our water system mapping out of the dark ages into the 21st
Drawings
century.
on
Yes.
loose leaf notebook paper.
Correct. Because a lot of the trees that these valves and such were measured from are no longer with us. So we're looking to purchase some GIS equipment from LandLogix Group. They're on Long Island. It's for, I think, $9,300 approximately.
$9,436.
Yep, so we did receive 3 bids, or 3 price quotes as in line with our procurement policy. They were the lowest. That's the first step to get the equipment. The second step will be subscribing to a mapping software, Esri Mapping. That will allow us to actually start digitizing the maps and putting them on the Esri mapping cloud somewhere. And now when our guys go out to locate, I think last year we did approximately 160 or not, last month we did, 126 utility locates. And what that does, the guys go out and they have to mark out these water mains so that nobody hits them. And a lot of the paperwork, the old maps are a little bit inaccurate. The new equipment will give us accuracy up to 2 centimeters. And hopefully it'll allow us to prevent damage from occurring when excavations are going on.
GIS stands for Geospatial something system.
Global Information System.
Global what?
Them satellites.
The information.
Not drones.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with that in mind, Dave has also said you were going to work with Mike, and there's a potential you might be able to use this for our sewer system, which is the same thing. I mean, our sewer system, unfortunately, is made out of terracotta, the pipe, so it's not something that you can image from above. So you're basically looking from manhole cover to manhole cover. But I'm not being facetious when I say our mapping of our sewer system and part of our water system are literally hand-drawn maps, line and block in ink on loose leaf notebook paper. So this'll at least take us into the 19th century. We'll get to the 21st soon enough.
And the other beauty of it is when you dig something up, now you know exactly where it is, and now it's recorded forever.
Yeah. Okay, and may I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion regarding the purchase of the GIS equipment for the water department in the amount of $9,436? Hearing none? Oh, yeah, from
I got one
Land
question,
Logics.
Mike. Is there a yearly rate on the service? Or
On
no?
the software?
Yeah.
So yes, Esri is available under state contract. I got a price quote today of $11,600 a year. That includes all the licensing for the users and whatnot. I'm working with New Windsor IT. They're taking a look at it to make sure that's in line with what they think it should be. So hopefully for the January meeting, I'll have a price for you guys to move forward on that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, next item is utility credits. This happens on occasion. We don't, I'm just gonna give the accounts of which we've discussed in executive session. I'm gonna give the account numbers that the board has been advised of. We're looking to approve credits for accounts 006495, account number 008283, account number 007027, and finally, account number 008435. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, I think there's only, I already did budget, so the only other the only other item, other business is potential front office restructure. And what that means is we're constantly looking for ways to consolidate services, to be as cost-effective as possible, and to cover, I call it creeping excellence, where we do more and more things. Like we've expanded our records management to, with the help of a grant and with the help of some employees that worked here for a period of time, Barbara and Joe Gill, to bring our records management into the 21st century, but looking at some potential consolidations or, Doris, what would be the right word? We're looking just to see efficiencies and what works better in the part-time realm and the full-time realm. So once we kind of figure out what makes the most sense going forward, we will discuss this further. Do you agree that that's where we're at? Okay. Okay, and only other item on here is for your information, December 16th.
No, that's, it's January.
Okay. All right.
January 13th is the work session.
Yes, January 13th. Okay, so I'm gonna put that down here. Okay, so, throughout December, did you do story time tonight?
No, it's tomorrow. Tonight was canceled because I wasn't supposed to be tonight, but it was canceled because of the weather. So me and you are up tomorrow.
I'm still stuck on this then tomorrow. Okay.
Stuff.
So trustee Paleota and I are apparently two of the featured readers at the vestibule at the Storm King Theater.
Featured?
Mike, I think you got sucked into that too, didn't you?
It's a beautiful opportunity.
Well, you had an opportunity to sign up, trustee
to our
Carnwright, trustee Brain, and deputy mayor Kane, and I didn't see you rushing. You do have to be able to read English. That's true.
Have to be a good reader.
I was reading my own time.
All right, so anyway, where can
I'll
they,
resend it to you.
where can they go, where can people go
I'll
to
take it if there's
see
more
the
slots.
list?
Sign me up.
It's on the special events Facebook page.
Cornwall Hudson
And
Special Events.
And I will,
Yep.
I will send it right to you.
It's on the village Facebook.
It's also on the
No,
village
also on the
Facebook
village.
page, so I think they do it at like 3:30 in the afternoon and 5:30 at night,
No, you can sign it.
right?
Correct.
5:30.
Schedule out.
It's a whole schedule.
So you can come
Correct.
get your picture taken with the reader of your choice.
Correct.
All right, I'm losing control of this meeting, I can
And,
see
and,
it.
and also, I'd like to point out, we've expanded this year that we're gonna be doing at the Bridge Street Park in the town,
That's
2
right.
evenings as well.
Ah, that's right.
So the Cornwall and Hudson Special Events Committee is branching
moving
out
up.
into the town.
I love it. I love it. Good. I like that kind of synergy. That's what I like. Okay, so that's it. It's not actually at the gazebo. It's actually at the gazebo down at the river. It's at the vestibule, Santa's chair in the vestibule of the Storm King
And there'll be
Theater.
pizza,
What? That's
Yeah,
new.
pizza and treats. I'll have treats and you will
Look,
have pizza.
I
You don't
I
even
tried
know.
to get
You
out of this,
will.
Rick, and it didn't work out well. My wife said, no, you're doing one, so.
What?
Right in front of the ticket.
It's for
All right,
children.
for December 24th and 25th, village offices and DPW, everything obviously except for our key and essential police officers, which have to be in. December 24th and 25th, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and incidentally, this year, the first night of Hanukkah is the same date as Christmas Day on the 25th. With that in mind, the village's annual menorah lighting is going to be scheduled for the 27th. So the first night of Hanukkah is actually 2 nights before that, but in order, so it's not on the same night when people are out and it's a holiday and everything's closed. We're going to do that on December 27th, 5:30 p.m. at the bandstand, not the gazebo, the bandstand. We're going to have the menorah lighting. Then for January, keep in mind, Village's work session here in Village Hall, but in the work session room is on January 13th. January 20th is a federal holiday for Martin Luther King's birthday. And then the business meeting, which will be in the boardroom here, will be the following Monday on the 27th. So it's not the second and third Mondays, it's the second and fourth Mondays. That also applies for February. I'm not going to give you the dates now to confuse you, but there's a holiday, President's Day on the 17th, which means that the board meeting and the work session will be the second and fourth Mondays. And then we are getting close to it. Then the village election, which will be held March 18th, the next month, which is the third Tuesday of March, and then the reorganization meeting, which will be chaired by a new mayor, and could be the same, well, it'll be a slightly different village board, will be on April 7th, Monday, April 7th. So we are already humming along. Okay, with that said, any other public, Carol, would you like to say anything? Public comment? So good, you never, all right. I'm looking around. Anybody else wish to speak from public comment? Seeing none, go around the board. Trustee Paleota.
I wanted to mention that our tree lighting was so much fun this year. I loved all the added events, and I wanted to thank everybody for their hard work and everything that we had there was just great. We have the 2 ball drops coming up for New Year's Eve. We have the junior ball drop at 6. It's 6 to 8, and we will have s'mores making and hot chocolate. Lots of fun. And the adult ball drop is at 11. I'm not even sure. I don't stay up that late. Start at 11.
11 to 12:30.
11 to 12:30. Good times.
All right, Trustee Brain.
Order warmer weather this year.
I'll be on the beach.
As always, thanks to all the departments and staff in the village for all their hard work this month. The one alibi, I guess, as we say. On the account waivers for the DPW for the sewer, one of them was, I voted yes, and I'm in favor of all of them. One of them was a site plan for a dwelling that was changed to incorporate a septic system instead of connecting to municipal sewer, so there was never any sewer effluent, being used, so it makes sense to provide that waiver. But just as I understand it, the septic system was not filed necessarily in a timely way, in a way that would have alerted our system that they shouldn't be charged for sewer. So I would just say that let's always make sure that we only grant these things in extraordinary circumstances, and that homeowners and developers and anybody who's building anything or doing anything make sure to be in compliance, so that we don't have to erroneously charge someone for something that they didn't actually get. And my other sourpuss note is just to represent feedback that I've received from constituents last year about the 2 fireworks displays on the New Year's Eve. I'm just reporting that I received feedback from 2 people last year who said that they were put out by the repeated long-term fireworks in the afternoon for the children's ball drop, and then again after midnight for the adult ball drop. Just reporting that to the board. Meant to say it in an earlier session, but didn't. But we're coming up to it, and so I don't know. Maybe it's a communication thing. Maybe there's some notification that says, "Please be aware." It'll be loud, and if you're concerned about it, know that it's coming. Something like that.
We can use the village's code red system.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and it might not be a bad idea for me to put out a mayor's message on this. I know I addressed this around 4th of July because, the obsessiveness of the individuals that were firing them and doing so dangerously, at least with the village ones. And obviously, the town does it for the 4th of July. The firefighters do it for the firefighters fair in August. And then the village does it for the ball drop. And to Bill's point, now that we have a junior ball drop, we want the kids to have it too. But I understand it. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and so is noise. And I understand that. It's like you're trying to thread that needle of do something that's special where, we get people from all over that come in. We average around 1,000 people that show up on New Year's Eve. And last year, I think we did a conservative count and thought for the junior ball drop, we had about 400 to 500 people there. It's a wonderful thing, and I know fireworks is part of it. But to Bill's point, everybody doesn't think the same, and there are people that righteously feel like it's too much. So I'm happy to talk to anybody about it. I mean, we are planning to go ahead with it this year, and maybe to Bill's point, we'll do a communication with it. Mike, I like the idea of the code red as well. And trust me, I get it, because I love fireworks for what they mean and the tradition and the customs that bring us together. But my dog is in a panic, and I know other people's dogs are too, and some other people just don't like the noise, but I get it. Anything else, Bill?
Probably, but no.
Okay. All right.
Well,
I don't know
no,
what
actually,
that means.
no. I'd like to take this opportunity, and I'm sending a little press release to notify the village that I'm standing for trustee to be reelected to a third 2-year term on March 18th, and I would humbly request that people vote for me, and I'm happy to make the case in the coming months.
Absolutely. All right. Trustee Carnwright.
Just happy holidays to all, because we won't be back before the new year. So,
Do you have an announcement to make?
I'll be running.
In true Dave form, it's like, I'll be running.
Unless somebody talks me out of it.
Anything else, Dave?
No, just I think everybody did a great job this year. All the department heads, our office, everyone did a great job.
Outstanding. All right. Deputy Mayor Kane.
I'll second what Dave said in regards to it was a good year overall, very productive and efficient. And I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. Enjoy your holiday.
Yeah.
Do you have any announcements to make?
Mine was already made in the paper, but as everyone already knows, I am running for mayor since the mayor is no longer going to run again. So
you never know. There could be a write-in.
That you could do that, but yes, I am running. So I'm looking forward to it.
Outstanding. Any alibis from any of the trustees, from any of the department heads or from Joe?
I said enough tonight.
Yes. Do you want to shout anything out again? All right, yes, sir.
One alibi for the fire department. Santa will be visiting the neighborhood this weekend.
Oh, good.
On
Right.
Saturday.
That's right.
With his fire department elves beginning at 9 a.m. We will have a tracking app on our Facebook page that people can track the whereabouts of Santa that day.
That's pretty cool.
Saturday or Sunday, did you say?
Saturday.
Saturday.
I'm not sure.
I got 2 babies getting baptized on Saturday. All right, without further ado, I'm gonna make a motion to close the village board meeting. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, keep in mind, the mics are still hot until Doris gives me the heads up that they're not.
Yeah. I just wanted to show. Let me confirm this with Megan for a second.
Yes, you did.
We don't have to go into lengthy.
Yes,